Good morning. Happy Tuesday. You're looking live over downtown Macon this morning. Kind of a wet and dreary start to the day. It is 6:30 on this December 6th. I'm Caitlin Heck.
And I'm Wanye Reese. This Tuesday morning, it's looking good on you, Central Georgia, but it's not feeling great outside right now, Caitlin.
I know, and a lot of people are going to be heading out to hit the polls early this morning, Taylor. So what do they need to know?
Well, they need to know that we could see some light scattered showers across the area, so have the umbrella as you're heading out the door today, but you may not need it into the afternoon. I was telling Wanye earlier that the best time to probably go vote today, if you have the time, is around the 3 p.m. hour. It's going to be pretty nice. Right now, not so nice across the area. A foggy and cloudy Macon makes way for a very warm morning. That cloud cover keeps that warmth in. 61 degrees now in Bibb County. Area-wide, we're seeing some of those 60s on the map. 69 in Wrightsville, 61 in Dublin, 59 as you head into Eastman, but low 50s into parts of Jasper and Putnam counties. It's all thanks to a wedge bringing some cooler air off the east side of the Appalachians. Current visibility is also poor in those northern parts of the area, so make sure when you encounter any fog this morning, you use the low beams and take your time. Area-wide, the rain has exited central Georgia for now, but again, light scattered showers are still possible as we roll through the rest of the morning. I'll break down the full 7-day forecast that comes up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Taylor. The commercials and robo-texts are almost done, and today voters head to the polls to decide the winner of the runoff election between incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and GOP candidate Herschel Walker. It's the last Senate contest in the country, still undecided.
Both candidates for U.S. Senate continued campaigning and making their final pitches for why they should be your next U.S. Senator. Herschel Walker stopped in North Georgia yesterday.
So get people out to vote. Tomorrow, tell them to get out and vote, vote, vote. If you hadn't voted, tell them to get out and vote. Hey, thank you guys so much.
Our message this morning is that we cannot let our foot off the gas. We got to press all the way through the finish line. We got to run through the tape.
Senator Warnock made stops up in Atlanta.
Both candidates are sticking around areas where they're heavily supported. Meanwhile, it is decision day and nearly 2 million voters have already cast ballots, setting early voting records across the state.
Our morning reporter TJ Anthony is joining us live from a polling location here in East Macon. So TJ, are you seeing any lines forming yet? How are things looking?
Good morning, Caitlin and Wanye. Things are looking pretty quiet right now. We saw one voter show up and the doors will open starting at 7 a.m. for voters across the state. But look, somehow, some way, they let the 13 WMAZ crew in here before the line started to form. Now, as you see, you have the poll workers working right here, getting you ready to cast your ballot. And you see the poll pads right there. And over there, you can see the voting booths where people and voters will go out and they will actually vote for who they want in this election. And also, we hope this go around, we will know tonight who will be taking over the Georgia Senate seat and who will also be taking over the Macon Water Authority District 2 seat. But we have everything you need to know this go round.
Voting is a family tradition. We got to do it.
Yeah, and as women, we used to couldn't vote either, so that's very important.
Leonard and Connie Williams were among the over 15,000 people that voted early in Macon Bibb.
It's an important thing, and especially local voting, because everything's local.
The Williams were not the only people rushing during this runoff election. Poll workers were racing against the clock to make sure everything was up and running.
There's a lot of equipment to be prepared, and not a lot of time to do it.
Interim election supervisor Thomas Gillen says with this runoff, there were long lines during early voting. But election day may be a different story.
For election day, I don't think the lines will be nearly as long as they are here. They certainly won't be.
If they do end up being long, there are special accommodations for the elderly 75 and up or the disabled.
We have usually 1 or 2 clerks specifically set aside to process our older or handicapped voters, and we have chairs set aside so they can come in and sit down while they wait if need be.
For the Williams family, they will be like many on election day, watching closely.
It's glued to the TV.
Yeah, glued to the TV.
And now the voting locations will be open across the state of Georgia at 7 a.m. and they will close at 7 p.m. tonight. But if you're in line by 7 p.m., you can still vote. So make sure you stay in line. Live in Macon, TJ Anthony. 13 WMAZ News.
Thank you so much for that report, TJ. If you're going to the polls, be sure to bring your government-issued photo ID. That could be a driver's license. To check your polling location, you definitely want to go to the Georgia Secretary of State's website. I know I needed to do that to see where I do vote usually.
Yes, definitely make sure you go to the right spot. And for other information on the polling place and hours, of course, you can contact your local Board of Elections. Now, it is the last chance to vote in this election, so here's some other things you need to know. Again, you have to vote at your designated polling place. They're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure you bring a valid form of ID. And as long as you're in line by 7 tonight, as TJ said, stay in line. You'll still be able to vote. Tom Gillen with the Bibb County Board of Elections says if you still need to turn in an absentee ballot, you can bring them to your elections office up until 7 p.m. today. He says you must hand that ballot to a staff member, and that goes to any county. Well, tonight we will follow the runoff results closely from the Macon Water Authority to Milledgeville City Council, of course, the U.S. Senate race. Molly Jett will report from Senator Raphael Warnock's camp, while Anthony Montalto reports from Herschel Walker's watch party. We'll also have analysis for you. Ashlyn Webb will use our election tracker to show you where votes are coming from across Georgia. And UGA political science professor Charles Bullock will join us in studio to bring some context to the trends that we're seeing. So make sure you join us tonight starting at 5 right here on 13, your source for election results. And if you text the word VOTE to 478-752-1309, we can still send our runoff election guide right to your phone.
It's 6:36 now. Just before we went on the air at 6 this morning, we got word that a third teen is now dead in an overnight shooting at a Macon apartment complex. Coroner Leon Jones says it happened just after 1 a.m. at the West Club apartment complex on Stephen Drive. Jones says someone shot 16-year-old Marcellus Williams Jr. several times. He died at the apartment. Jaron Willis and Tyshawn Williams were also shot and later died at the hospital. Both were 18 years old. A 14-year-old also got shot and is now in stable condition. If you have any information on this case, you should reach out to the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers. That number, it's 1-877-68-CRIME. Again, that number, it's at the bottom of your screen. It's 1-877-68-CRIME. This morning, Warner Robins police are investigating an armed robbery that left one man dead. Police say this all happened last night just before 10 at the American Philly and Wing on Watson Boulevard. When officers got there, they spoke to the business owner and several witnesses who say the victim got pistol whipped. Police say while this was happening, the victim pulled out his own gun and fired several shots. The suspect ran away and officers found him shot nearby on Vernon Drive. He died at the hospital a short time later. The victim has minor injuries but did not need medical treatment. Police are holding the names while they continue this investigation. If you have any information on this case, you should reach out to the Criminal Investigations Department. Their number, it's 478-302-5380. That number again for you, it's 478-302-5380. Well, a man sits in jail today in connection with a shooting at a Perry Housing Authority property that happened back in November. The shooting happened on Perimeter Road back on November the 12th around 1:30 a.m. Officers found a man shot once in the stomach. Perry police got warrants for the arrest of Thomas Parrish on several charges, including aggravated assault and aggravated battery. On Sunday, police served the warrant with help from the U.S. Marshals Service and arrested Parrish.
Well, this morning, 13 people in Lawrence County face a number of drug charges relating to a trafficking conspiracy. That is according to the Department of Justice. A federal indictment unsealed yesterday follows a nearly 3-year investigation by the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office and U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The 27-count indictment charges each defendant with conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute 100 grams or more of heroin and 50 grams or more of methamphetamine. 6:38 right now. Atrium Health Navicent has a new parent company. They announced the plans back in May, but made things official on Friday. They say they'll be able to serve more patients at a lower cost. Advocate Aurora Corporate Offices brings 27 hospitals to the table, serving 3 million patients each year in Wisconsin and Illinois. The system specializes in cardiology, oncology, and pediatrics. Together, the newly merged company is called Advocate Health and is the nation's 5th largest nonprofit health system. Here in Central Georgia, Atrium Health Navicent will keep its name. They sent 13 WMAZ a statement that reads in part, quote, patients can continue to count on their trusted doctors and clinical care teams at the convenient locations they have always visited. Now, we did also reach out to both Atrium and Advocate Aurora's corporate offices. Neither of them responded. Well, this morning, a popular downtown Macon restaurant and former Burger Week champion is closing its doors. The Macon Beer Company announced it's shutting down after 6 years in business. The restaurant says it's closing because of rising inflation and supply chain issues. It comes after they just finished top seller in Macon Burger Week. They say the last day of operation will be Sunday, December 11th, but they will have normal hours up until then. They invite everybody to come back for a final week of great times, great drinks, and great food. We are very sad to see them go.
Well, coming up, we show you how changes set to take place at Robins Air Force Base could bring new jobs to our community. Plus,
here at South Dodge Elementary School, these students are finding the treasure in learning. I'll tell you how one teacher struck gold. Coming up.
oh, that's so cute. The time's now 6:40 here on your Tuesday morning. I know a lot of teachers and students, they're excited when I go to visit the schools. They have the countdown. It's on because they're getting ready to have their winter break soon.
I know, so close to being done. Although I feel for those kiddos heading out to the bus stop this morning. This is going to be a nasty day out there.
Me too. I hope that you guys put on those rain boots for your kids, have the umbrella out at the bus stop. Because I remember as a kid, sometimes those bus stops could be just the most dreary part of the day, just waiting in the rain, waiting for that bus to come and pick you up so you can dry off a little bit as you head into school. Right now, it is a dreary start to the day in Dublin, but at least it is warm. Temperatures right now in the DUB talking in the low 60s to start off this morning. So very warm across the area. You won't need the heavy coat unless you live north of Macon. I'll explain why in just a second. Right now, 61 in Macon, 61 in Forsyth, 61 in Roberta, and 62 in Montezuma. As you head north, notice the blue on the map. It's all thanks to a wedge that brings in cool air down the eastern side of the Appalachians into Georgia. So if you live in northeastern parts of central Georgia, you could be only in those low 50s. Current visibility is also concentrated to places that are in north and eastern Georgia, anywhere from Sparta down to Gordon into Thomaston, only seeing half a mile worth of visibility. So take your time in terms of driving on those roads this morning if you encounter any fog. The reason why we're seeing fog and rain this morning, it's all thanks to a warm front that's slicing straight through central Georgia right now. The warm front brings in warm, moist air up from the Gulf of Mexico into Georgia. And as we zoom in closer, notice the rain is mainly concentrated north of the I-20 corridor. We did have some rain earlier that has now moved out and down 16, but we could still see some light scattered showers as we head into the rest of the day today. Now, of course, today's a big day. It's election day. So if you're heading out to the polls early, make sure you have the umbrella. We still could have that rain potential through the mid-morning, but after that we start to dry out and warm up, of course, as still thanks to that warm front. So temperatures by the noon hour in the mid to upper 60s and low 70s across the area. By 3 p.m. probably the best time to go and vote. Could we see a sprinkle? Maybe, but unlikely. Temperature is already in those low to mid 70s, feeling more like an early fall day. Again, a sprinkle or two could be possible tonight, but it will pick up some of those rain chances again early Wednesday morning. Tonight, again, maybe a sprinkle of fog is still possible tonight. Low temperature is very warm in those low 60s. Now, Wednesday, again, we still do have that sprinkle chance coming in the morning. Still going to be warm, though. Temperature is by noon into the 70s already. Notice, again, a sprinkle or two rolling through the area. By Wednesday afternoon to the evening, we have a little burst of energy that could come through into our north and eastern counties, that can roll through into the evening and night times. So just be careful of that, anywhere from Eatonton down to Milledgeville. Otherwise, we'll be drying out as we head into Thursday night. Thursday into the day Thursday, and then we'll be seeing temperatures in those mid to upper 70s across the area, cooling down to the 60s as we head into the weekend.